Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Anubhuti Yadav from Indian Institute of Mass Communication. Today we are going to talk on module MIL policies and strategies under the paper Media and Information Literacy. After completing this module, you should be able to understand the rationale for media and information literacy policies and strategies, develop understanding of the composite nature of MIL, understand the benefits of MIL policies, and understand the MIL strategies, importance of MIL strategies. Rationale for media and information literacy policies and strategies. Now there is a situation of information overload nowadays, and we as citizens are bombarded by a lot of media messages, and a large number of people who do have access are unable to understand or fathom the wide variety of media messages they are exposed to every day. Hence, there is a need to develop media and information literacy policies and strategies so that all citizens can have access to information, they are able to understand the different media messages and overall use this information and messages to participate in the public sphere. Now, when we are talking about the rationale for media and information literacy policies and strategies, there are a lot of scholars who have worked in this area. For example, the Carlson deals on the need of such policies, and according to him, the knowledge society of today has a tremendous democratic potential, especially for young people. And media, including online media, represent social and cultural resources that can empower people in both their personal development and their development as members of the society. But these potentialities also have implications. Today, when we live our lives both offline and online, it is not always easy to draw a distinct line between life or the web and real life. Hence, the challenge today is to develop policies that balance two somewhat conflicting goals. One is the maximizing the potential of media and new information technologies, and the second one is minimizing the risk they entail. So basically we are saying that now when we are talking about the new media and when we are talking about the digital media, we know that there is a lot of information available. But the moment we are saying that there is a lot of information available, and we can also say that there is overload of information, with this also comes a lot of challenges, which means that if this much of information is available, are we in a position to access information in a right way? Are we using the right information? Because if we talk about the number of websites in the world, we reached around 1 billion mark in 2014. So all these websites, they are giving a lot of information. So we should be in a position to take information which is right and from the credible sources, and this is what Carlson talk about. He is saying that we need to develop policies that balance two somewhat conflicting goals. One is maximizing the potential of media and new information technologies, and then minimizing the risk they entail. So without a focused MIL policy, the digital divide is likely to widen, and gap between those who have access to information and media messages and those who do not have access is likely to weaken the democratic process. So this is something which is very important, because if we do not have MIL policy, we know that the divide will widen. And when we are saying that this digital divide is widened, because this will happen because the people will not be in a position to access information critically. So that's why the media and information literacy policy is required in any country. Also, without such a policy, another form of disparity could arise, which could be a disparity between those who have the competency to explore, understand, reflect, analyze and use information and media messages, and those who do not have these competencies. When we are talking about MIL policy as such, so we are talking about MIL policy for all the citizens of the country. So right now the situation could be like the people who are well educated, they know how to explore, understand, reflect and analyze information. But the people who are not that well educated, they don't have, these competencies. So if there is no MIL policy, there could be another disparity between, these two group of people. Now, linked to these competencies are the issues of democratic participation and better governance. So the moment we are, MIL literate, and the moment we have, such policy in place, obviously people are going to participate in the democratic processes. One example of this could be MyGov platform. MyGov is India's citizen engagement platform wherein the people are invited to raise their concern, to share their views on certain issues. For example, the national education policy is being framed, and when the work started on that particular thing, so the information was put up on that particular website, and the people were asked to contribute to that. So those who are media and information literate, those who know how to access this information, those who know how to involve in that particular process, they participated in that. But the people who were not aware of it, they couldn't participate in that. So which means that when we are talking about these competencies, we are also talking about the issues of democratic participation and better governance. Also, developing critical competencies in media and information literacy of citizen is a challenge of the 21st century, so that we can take advantage of the different information and communication technologies available with us and contribute to the goals of national development. Hence, the necessitates the need to evolve a national media and information policy. Now, this is what it talks about, when we are talking about, national MIL policy, and when we are talking about the importance of media and information literacy policies and strategies. This is how it affects, the individual, community and society. One is like recognition and awareness, like there are so many things happening in the society, people will be aware of that particular thing. Integration into national policies, it is important that it should be part of the national policies. If you look at the country like Bhutan, they have the national policy on media and information literacy, and in fact their website, the Information and Broadcasting Ministry, their website, it has that particular policy there on that particular website. Then the sharing of responsibilities, structural changes and reforms which is required the moment we plan to have MIL policies. Integration into curriculum, this is something which is very important. The moment you plan to have MIL policies, and one of the strategy could be integrating that into the school curriculum, college curriculum, teacher education curriculum. So it has to be a part of the different curricula. Support of networks and professional organizations. I mean, in our previous lecture, we talked about, the lot of initiatives which are being taken by NGOs, professional organizations. So there is a need of support because, they also need to contribute to them. They already have gained, a lot of experience in this particular area. So their input is required for this. Research and development of tools, development of certain standards, building MIL related competencies, intercultural dialogue and international cooperation, investment in long-term processes, and promotion and protection of human rights. So this is what major areas which we talk about, when we are talking about MIL policies and strategies and how it affects individual, society and community. Let us understand why knowing about MIL as a composite concept is necessary. See, the contemporary digital society demands that we as citizens develop our understanding and competencies on a wide range of issues to be able to negotiate the complexities and demands of the 21st century. In this context, UNESCO talks of the different literacies in which an individual is expected to develop his competencies, and this includes news literacy, television literacy, film literacy, computer literacy, internet literacy, digital literacy, and social media literacy. UNESCO also underscores that MIL policy and strategy needs to build upon a concept of media and information literacy that harmonizes and encapsulates the wide range of literacies. It underlies that MIL should be understood as a composite concept and aim to encompass knowledge, skills, and attitudes which would enable citizens to now understand the role and function of media and other information providers in democratic societies, understand the conditions under which those functions can be fulfilled, recognize and articulate a need for information, locate and access relevant information, critically evaluate information and the content of media and other information providers, including those on the internet in terms of authority, credibility and current purpose, and extract and organize information and media content. Synthesize or operate on the ideas abstracted from content, ethically and responsibly communicate one's understanding of created knowledge to an audience or readership in an appropriate form and medium, be able to apply ICT skills in order to process information and produce user-generated content, and engage with media and other information providers, including those on the internet, for self-expression, freedom of expression, intercultural dialogue, and democratic participation. Now, this is the ecology of MIL. Now, when we are saying that, we have to look at MIL as a holistic thing. So we know that there are number of literacies which are there, and they're all part of media and information literacy. So when we are talking about number of literacies, we are talking about media literacy, we are talking about data literacy, we are talking about freedom of expression and freedom of information literacy, digital media literacy, computer literacy, internet literacy, games literacy, cultural literacy, television literacy, news literacy, advertising literacy. So these are all part of media and information literacy, and it should be offered as a composite model. Right now what is happening is, since as we've discussed, a lot of organizations are working in this area, so people are working in the different areas. So for example, there are organizations who are working only for the news literacy. There are organizations who are only working for the advertising literacy or digital literacy. But we have to take MIL as a composite, subject, and all these literacies has to be a part of that. Now let us talk about the benefits of MIL policies and strategies. How citizen can benefit from MIL policies and strategies, and how government can. So let us first talk about how citizens can benefit from MIL policies and strategies. The first one is the active and democratic participation, awareness of ethical responsibilities for global citizenship, and the third one is enabling diversity, dialogue, and tolerance. As far as the active and democratic participation is concerned, according to Martinson, he underscores the importance of MIL in a democratic society. The new technologies promote the participation of the plurality and diversity of opinions, but they also contribute to posing us with major new challenges such as the circulation of unfiltered information, disinformation, copyright issues and manipulation, as well as poor habits in media use. In consequence, we must urgently promote media literacy among citizens so that they can be critical consumers of information, capable of effectively contributing to the public discourse. By developing media habits, citizens can protect themselves and others from harmful content. This is what is important, because if you look at your own media habit, or when we look at our own media habits, we know that we are actually consuming variety of information, and many a times we are consuming information with which we cannot do anything substantial, which is most of the time is, simply a waste of time. For example, if you are spending time on internet and if you are spending time on web, most of the time, we are glued on to social networking sites. And yes, in a way, it's good to be on social networking site because it connects us with our friends and our relatives, and maybe like if you are working in one particular area, so it is a good platform for networking. But most of the time, when we are there, for few minutes, yes, we are engaged in the constructive communication, but for the rest of the time, it's just the wastage of time. We are not interacting with someone, we are just looking at people's profile. So this actually will not lead us anywhere. So it is very important to develop our own media habits. So if we feel that the social networking sites are important, if you feel that the watching television is important, reading newspaper is important, or reading magazine is important, so we need to give time to these particular mediums, and we need to find out how much time is accurate or proper to give to a one particular medium. Now, delving on the areas of critical citizenship, Criticos observes teaching media literacy facilitates critical citizenship and encourages marginal voices to produce counter-discourses. Creative counter-narratives that embody the wisdom of regional, sustainable practices will be the key to envisioning a sustainable future. This is also very important in the sense that right now, when you look at the media landscape, or like when you look at the social media landscape, you would see that on social media or on the mainstream media, we listen to the voices of very few people. That voice actually represent that elite group, or we can say that voice represent the people who are educated. But what about those marginal voices? What about the people who are there at the grassroots level? We don't listen to their voices much. So the moment we have this media literacy, and if we are talking about media literacy to the people who are there in the rural areas, or like the marginalized communities, obviously we are going to listen to their voices as well once they're also media literate, because they'll be in a position to create those messages at that point of time, and they'll be in a position to share those messages. Then, taking forward the importance of MIL, Rene Hobbs says, when people have digital and media literacy competencies, they recognize personal, corporate, and political agendas and are empowered to speak out on the behalf of the missing voices and omitted perspectives in our communities. And as we discussed also, that most of the media houses are owned by the corporates. They're also owned by the political parties or political candidates. So when they are owned by corporate sector or political parties, political candidates, this means that the kind of voice which we have there is like supporting these people. So when we are talking about corporate, the major purpose is the maximization of profit, or when we are talking about the political parties and candidates, politicians, they have their own agenda. So amidst this, there are certain voices which are missing, and the moment we have MIL, so we can listen more voices other than the corporate sectors and the people from the political arena. Then comes the awareness of ethical responsibilities for global citizenship. According to UNESCO, MIL deepens citizens' understanding of rights of freedom of opinion, expression, and communication. It further balances the understanding of these rights with an increasing understanding of personal and organizational ethical responsibilities regarding media, information, and communication. Enabling diversity, dialogue, and tolerance. According to Tonro and Varis, they point out that if citizens from all over the world improve their communication capacity, it is quite certain that the strength of their expression and self-presentation before the world will contribute to respecting diversity as well as to considering the other as an equal and a speaker. Now let us talk about how governments can benefit. Media literacy can strengthen the public interest to improve socio-political conditions. enables citizens to participate actively in public discussions and deliberations to affect change, and empower citizens to fulfill their rights and obligations. It also contributes to the governance reform agenda by identifying corruption and demanding transparency and accountability. Now, if we have to look at a policy, a very important policy which we can take as an example is the Digital India policy. So if we are talking about that we need to have MIL policies and strategies, so we should draw some inspiration of certain policy which is already in place. And at this point of time, the Government of India's Digital India campaign is one such policy, and it's a concerted effort to improve governance and bring the people of the country closer to the government. And this was launched by Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi and in 2015. Now, when we talk about this policy, it actually revolves around the three key areas. One is the providing internet as a core utility to every citizen. Second is governance and services on demand, and third is digital empowerment of citizen. But at the same time, there are 9 pillars of Digital India which are working in the different directions. So the first one is the broadband highways that talks about making internet available. Second is universal access to phones, because still there are number of villages who do not have access to phones. So making the phone available to those people who are there in such areas. Then public internet access program, this is something which is very important. For example, even if the broadband highways are there, even like if we take internet to the rural areas, how people are going to access that internet. So for this also they have one program which is called public internet access program, and in this there are a lot of CSCs which are called common service centers, wherein and it's like the computer labs and which is like available for each panchayat, wherein people can go and access information. Also the post offices are also converted into multi-utility center, wherein people can go and access information. Then the fourth was e-governance, which means like reforming government through technology. Fifth one is e-Kranti, which means the electronic delivery of services, whether you're talking about passport or when you're talking about driving license. So they should be made available through electronic system. Then information for all. When we are talking about e-governance, so the most important thing is that the people should have information regarding whatever is happening in the government, and information for all is one such program. And under information for all, there is one very nice initiative which is like the DataGov website, which means that like all the ministries, they have to share their data on that particular website, and people can access that particular data. Then electronic manufacturing, that's another pillar of that. Then IT for jobs, creating jobs in IT sector. And then the early harvest program, these are the programs which have the limited and very short deadlines. So these are the 9 pillars of Digital India. So if someone has to make a policy or implement something of the sort, then it has to be like what is being done as part of Digital India campaign, and MIL should draw inspiration from such policy and such campaign. Now let us talk about the benefits of MIL policies and strategies. MIL policies and strategies can contribute to better quality media and information providers, because you can anytime question the media content. So it can contribute to the better quality media and information providers. MIL literate society contributes to the development of free, independent, pluralistic media and open information systems, thereby improving the quality of information they provide. Now let us talk about the development of MIL policies. MIL implementation could be successful where different stakeholders share a vision and work collaboratively to achieve it through sharing knowledge and resources. MIL program should be responsive to the availability of existing and emerging media and information technologies, so that citizens can fully benefit from their use to actively participate in their societies. The development of MIL is fundamental to nation building. economic development, and the protection of human rights, and for meeting the challenges of cultural and linguistic society. Now, when we are talking about the development of MIL policy, UNESCO has listed the following elements for the development of MIL policies, and these include creating a vision for media and information literacy and its role and purpose, encouraging consensus on the vision through identifying incentives and opportunities for partnerships and collaborations, identifying the challenges facing stakeholders aiming to implement MIL programs, identifying incentive-based policy directions for MIL, identifying the knowledge, attitudes and skill required for the implementation of MIL, allotting the resources required to implement this, and providing direction for an action plan and monitoring and evaluation of MIL implementation. We are talking about the policies, then we need to have the strategies as well. We need to develop strategies for this. So MIL strategies are the patterns or plans that integrate broad development goals, policies and sequences of actions or concrete interventions into a cohesive goal. A well-informed MIL strategy should be based on consensus of all stakeholders and help to marshal and allocate valuable resources to chart a clear trajectory towards the desired outcomes based on local realities and taking into consideration shortcomings and anticipated changes in the environment. Now let us talk about developing strategies for MIL. And according to UNESCO, how this can work, it can help citizens understand the deeper significance of information, media and being informed, assist people in using information efficiently, critically and ethically, help media practitioners, librarians, teachers, other professions, bloggers and citizens in general to be constructive information disseminators. It can assist librarians, archivists, teachers and other professionals to be more involved and creative in the production of knowledge, assist citizens to be actively involved in the enterprise of knowledge production, assist in deepening democracy and strengthening institutions and governance, encourage a comprehensive and harmonized approach to the design, planning and implementation of MIL programs. So students, let's now summarize what we have learnt in this module. Without a focused MIL strategy and policy, not only the digital divide is likely to widen, but it would also give rise to another set of disparities between those who has competencies to explore, analyze and use information and those who do not have these competencies. To negotiate the complexities and demands of the 21st century, it is important for the citizens to understand MIL as a composite concept encapsulating all areas of literacy. The benefits of MIL policies for citizens include promotion of active and democratic participation, awareness of ethical responsibilities for global citizenship and enabling diversity, dialogue and tolerance. Governments can benefit from MIL policies by promoting good governance. The initiative of the Government of India for Digital India is one such significant example through which MIL also take inspiration. MIL policies and strategies can benefit media and information providers by the development of free, independent and pluralistic media and open information systems. We also talked about the benefits of MIL policies for citizens, and this includes promotion of active and democratic participation, awareness of ethical responsibilities for global citizenship and enabling diversity, dialogue and tolerance. Governments can also benefit from MIL policies by promoting good governance. The initiative of Government of India, which we talked about, that is the Digital India, is one such significant example. MIL policies and strategies can benefit media and information providers by development of free, independent, pluralistic media and open information systems. Thank you.